Welcome to the Strategy Table. I am your host, Artrice B. Scott, and today we will be talking about wearing masks. So pull up a chair because a false narrative is expensive. It drains your identity, it distorts your purpose, and it weakens your real power. You cannot keep trying to build a stable life while wearing a mask. You will eventually collapse under that type of pressure, and you won't have the stable foundation that you're actually looking to build. So here's the question. Are you willing to keep paying tax on your own identity? On something that was given to you? Are you going to keep allowing it to be taxed? Because you're really good at reading the room, but you're not good at reading yourself. Reading a room has made you valuable, but it also makes you shrink because you can wear labels very good. Strong, polished, ready, dependable, spiritually grounded. And you could quite possibly be all of those things. But if you are being rewarded according to your mask, it's not worth it. Because if it takes a costume to keep being that version of who you are, then no one is truly rewarding you. They're rewarding the mask, not the real you. So for the leader, the mom, the husband, the wife, the one who can hold a boardroom together, take care of all the children, be everything to everybody, take care of everybody's emotions. But when I ask you one simple question, who are you? You draw a blank. Yeah, who are you? And you don't have the answer. So, but that's why you pulled up to the table today, so that I can help you with the strategy. So get comfortable. Let's talk about the strategy. Remember, the patterns that I'm talking about, they're adaptive. They're adaptive based on the season of life that you're in. So at some point in all of our lives, we put on these masks, right? We put on these patterns of life to get through a season. But sometimes we stay there too long. So I'm going to show you what that text of wearing a mask for too long looked like for me. In 2022, on the outside, I was winning. I was thriving. My business was up. I had a brand new baby. He was healthy. He was strong. I'm talking about a huge child. I was showing up every day, and it would seem like the universe was giving me everything I ever asked for. But on the inside, I was collapsing. Listen to these masks that I was wearing in these environments. I showed up to church as a prayer warrior, but I was the one who needed prayer. I showed up as a leader at work every day, but I was really needing guidance on my own. I worked my food truck, built a coffee shop, serving my community, but there was a collapse happening on the inside of me that no one could see. So one day I sat on my couch and I said, stop moving, stop thinking. And what started as a pity party, and it wasn't even a couch, I was in my RV. So I would like to tell you that I did this inventory in 2022, but I'll be lying. I did it in 2024. But here's what I saw. Summer First Class Scott was built to survive. I built the Frostballs custom bakes to thrive. But yet, I was stuck at a crossroads of decision of choosing one over the other. And in that moment, I could not choose to be the Frostballs because I worn a mask of who both of these people were. And if I put both of them on the table, and I had to realize that no one was going to come tell me who to be. I had to do that on my own. And that's what the cost of wearing a mask is. When it's time to make life decisions, you can't. Because now you have to evaluate every mask that you've ever worn and try to figure out where the strength really is. Who am I really? So I had to either embrace the vision of an organization, of a retirement check, or I had to embrace the narrative or a builder, a founder, a business owner. And then I had to ask the question, is what I built enough? Am I strong enough? Can I really do this? But when you're collapsing, I'm gonna tell you now, if you don't know who you are, you will reach for whatever uniform fits, whatever rank validates, because you've taught yourself not to trust yourself. Yeah. When you wear a mask, you're teaching yourself that you don't trust yourself. But that day, I realized that I was paying the price, a very expensive price for a life I didn't even want. I became someone first class Scott because I was surviving. It was not my first choice. I became the frost boss because that's what I wanted to do. I'm a business owner. I'm telling you this because that's the cost of wearing a mask. But I want you to stop leading from a version of you that was only built to survive. It's time to meet the part of you that's built to thrive. So the mask bearer, a pattern that shows up in our lives, that mask became a mask because somewhere early in life, you learned that being real wasn't safe. That belonging was conditional and that acceptance came with a price tag. And the price was the version of you that wasn't impressive enough for the societal dictation that's going on around you. To the people who stand behind you and cheer, that so you got smart. You built the part of you that knew it was going to get a reward. You built your strengths on rewards and performance. But eventually it is coming for its payment. Because that foundation of your narrative is cracking while everyone else is applauding your strength. No one tell everybody wants us to be resilient and be strong and keep going and don't give up, but nobody tells you that it costs when you put that mask on a broken identity. If you're having identity crisis, you can't put the mask on. You're going to pay for it. The person who wins in life and they're up and then they commit suicide. And everybody wanna know why. They was winning. No, they were broken. And because everybody was applauding what their capabilities, they could not see the collapse. Because the math is gonna ask you 2 questions all day, every day. Who do I have to be so I won't be rejected, punished, or abandoned? Or what can I do for this room, for these people, for this relationship to make sure I'm still valuable? And I promise you, you probably can answer both of those, but you cannot answer who you are. What do I want? And the longer you keep that mask on, the harder it's going to get for you to answer that one question. Who are you when the room is not watching? If you cannot answer that, I need you to check yourself because you think you're avoiding the tax on your identity. You are not. The mask collects in 6 places every time and it wants its money is worse than the IRS. Emotional tax. What does it cost you to manage everyone's perception of you? Relational tax. Who never gets to meet who never gets to meet the real you? Physical tax. Where does your body carry the performance? Your back, your neck, your sleep? Creative tax. What gifts have you buried because the math said you wouldn't be received? Nobody's gonna know it. Nobody's gonna buy that. Leadership tax. What decisions did you make for the room instead of your mission? Spiritual tax. How far have you walked away from your own assignment for the validation of others? What have you walked away from and what have you walked into because somebody told you so? Run those numbers and you will be surprised by the cost that you're paying. That's your return on life investment. And you have to ask, is that what I want? Your return on life investment is the moment you can calculate that bottom line and honestly say, I don't want to do this anymore. Because when you make that decision, you have, when you see those numbers, you have a decision to make. Stay in high functioning depression, a career you can't leave, a relationship that no longer serves you, burning out, which is really just identity exhaustion. The mask being worn out when people are like, oh, you're burning out in leadership. They want to take all these trainings and do all these things. Really, no, it's literally that person cannot no longer perform in that mask anymore. They're giving up. It's not who they are. They don't want to do this no more. I guarantee you. Or you can run the strategy to unmask because you need to update your nervous system. You can no longer run the survival narrative. And that's why you came to the table, right? For the strategy, right? So before I start the strategy, I want to give the mask bearers props. There's a gift in every shadow. The mask bearer has the highest social intelligence. In my research, wearing a mask requires high social intelligence. Reading a room, adjusting your delivery, performing, knowing what to give somebody at a time when they need it, that's a leadership gift. So the goal is not to kill the gift. It is to stop letting the gift put you in a box. To stop overusing the gift, to know when to take the mask off. So strategy 1, 4 moves on the board. Presence. Presence is the pause that lets you catch the shapeshift in real time. You have to learn to ask yourself, am I still me right now? That question slows the reaction and makes space for truth to land because the mask bearer adapts fast. And most of the time, you won't even notice it. Coming back to yourself is learning to notice and have that self awareness to say, nope, I'm going to stay me. Strategy 2, truth. Truth is not a confession, it is a narrative difference. Go back and run that tax again because the mask has been answering for you who you are for so long that everything has blurred together. Separate it out. When you choose what you adapted into and what you inherited and what you perform just to stay safe, then ask the question the mask has been avoiding. What do you actually want? Because restoration cannot begin until the hidden story becomes speakable, trackable. Strategy 3, inner coherence. The mask creates a double image. Your private life, your public life, but it's created a fragmented identity eventually that produces a fragmented perception of leadership of self. Coherence is being the same person in the boardroom that you are at your own kitchen table. Same posture, same gravity, because you cannot lead a coherent team, a coherent family. You can't even lead yourself if you don't know who you are. Because when pressure comes and the mask can't hold the weight, you break. Strategy 4, embodied identity. You rebuild from the truth, not in your head. The nervous system only trusts repeated execution. Is what the fitness coaches say. 4 weeks, you notice. 6 weeks, some people closest to you notice. 8 weeks, the whole world like, "Dang, she look good." It's the same. When you're embodying the identity, it's gonna take time because you have to practice to make yourself feel safe, to trust yourself again. So, 4 strategies: presence, truth, inner coherence, and an embodied identity. Practicing the real self until it becomes how you live. From the mask to unmask, you get a rebuilt narrative. Lay every mask on the table when you're counting the tax and ask yourself, what do I want? This week, find one person to take that mask off with. Look at their reaction. But how do you feel when you walk away? But the real homework is to build a relationship with yourself because it is you who has to learn to trust you. I want you to ask yourself every day, how are you actually doing? What do you actually want? Write it down because we've been taught that compromising and being humble is important when it's really shrinking, when it's really a mask. Build a relationship with the unperformed version of you. Thank you for pulling up to the strategy table. Go to avsstrategytable.com. Take the narrative discovery quiz. The Max Barrett is just one of the 13. Read the magazine, learn more about the table, and come tell me in the comment section, who are you? It's going to give you your top 3. It's going to be laid out. What pattern are you running under pressure? Where are you right now? Okay? Until next time, real life, real stories, real strategies. I'm your host, Artrice B. Scott. I'm out.